Welcome to Module 2 of the New York State inspection class. Today we're going to be focusing in on the regulations that are found in the regulations manuals, section 79.1 through 79.6. Module 1 really focused in on the definitions of vehicles, inspection law, and how they can sometimes be difficult to understand. Sometimes they're not written in our everyday languages, and the terms they use are not typical for us. So again, definitions are always there. They're found in 79.1 to refer back to help us to understand what the terms mean that's found in this regulations manual. I will tell you that as a New York State inspector, it is imperative that you guys know the regulations. And it's a pretty thick book. We're going to go through about 65 or so pages of this book in this course. The laws are written in black and white, which means that they're fairly clear, and you should be able to apply them in a simple way to perform a proper New York State inspection. It's important that you guys know the law. If you do an improper inspection, you are breaking the law. And there are sometimes some punishments that can come with that, like being fined or possibly losing your New York State inspector's license. So make sure that you do know the regulations. Again, any terms can be found in 79.1 if you're having any issues understanding what's being discussed. So 79.2 talk about vehicles that require an inspection. The term motor vehicle, sometimes we just think about as being cars and trucks, but actually the motor vehicles that are being talked about in inspections class are motor vehicles that are registered in the state and need an inspection. So the simplest way to view this is to view them as all vehicles that are registered in this state. All motor vehicles registered in the state are considered motor vehicles, unless it's some of the things listed on this screen, like a fire truck, a tractor, something that's a vehicle that's inspected by state or federal Department of Transportation. Those are not motor vehicles that need an inspection. A farm vehicle that operates on roads only to get to different portions of their land. Any vehicle that's owned and operated by a municipality, like a town, and it weighs over 8,500 pounds. If there's a special purpose vehicle that has state or official plates on it, that's not something that's required to get an inspection. Or golf carts, snowmobiles, all-terrain vehicles, or what's considered a low-speed vehicle. And you might wonder what that is. I don't believe they're talking about this, but in my definition of a low-speed vehicle, this is what I would be thinking about. But obviously, this is considered a motor vehicle. If it's registered in New York State, it would be required to get a New York State inspection. Vehicles must be inspected for a number of reasons. Number one, when a dealer sells a vehicle or transfers a vehicle to any person who is not a dealer, a vehicle must be inspected. It must be inspected within 30 days prior to the date of sale. For instance, if a new car dealership or a corner used car lot has a vehicle for sale and it's being sold this month in January, it must have a January New York State inspection sticker on it. When it's done in February, that inspection gets done as long as it's within 30 days of the date of sale. A vehicle does not need to be inspected if it's being sold and then being classified as junk or wholesale. So sometimes dealers wholesale vehicles to other dealers, and they are not required to inspect those vehicles. Another situation where a vehicle does not need to be inspected is when it's sold to a non-resident, someone who is not a resident of New York State, and it will be registered out of state. So it's possible that someone from Pennsylvania may come to New York State to buy a vehicle, and they're going to register it down in Pennsylvania. That does not need a New York State inspection. A vehicle must be inspected before it's registered for the first time, or it's re-registered. Okay, So if you've ever purchased a vehicle and went to the DMV to register it, they're going to ask you for whether the vehicle got a New York State inspection. If it did, that's great. If it did not, they will probably give you a 10-day extension, a little 10-day sticker. A certificate is what the proper term is. And that gives you 10 days to make sure that the vehicle gets New York State inspected. And obviously, all motor vehicles registered in the state, besides the ones listed on the screen before this slide, need to be inspected at least once every year, although it can't be done as many times as the owner chooses. So if someone decides to come into a dealership and want to get their vehicle inspected every month and get a brand new sticker every month, they can do that. Obviously, they're going to pay for that, but they can choose to do that. There are two forms of New York State inspection here in Western New York, and they're broken down into safety inspections and emissions inspections. Some vehicles are just receive safety inspections, and some vehicles receive safety and emissions inspections. So here's a list of vehicles that do not receive emissions inspections. They are exempt from the OBD2 portion and emissions portions of the New York State inspection. Vehicles that are 26 or more model years old, all electric vehicles, vehicles that are less than 2 model years old, heavy vehicles with over 14 passengers or over 18,000 pounds, diesel vehicles, unless they're 1997 and newer and under 8,500 pounds. And again, official and state plated vehicles are treated the same as privately owned vehicles. So again, just to break this down, if you look at the majority of vehicles on our roads receive safety and emissions inspections. Only the ones that only receive safety inspections are the ones listed on this slide. So the inspection stickers that are on windshields that are driving around our area, those stickers are good until midnight on the last day of the month that's punched in the year. Okay, so for instance, this sticker that was shown was good until the last day at midnight on the last day of July. The first day of August, that sticker is no longer good. Also, an inspection sticker is good only until the vehicle is sold or the vehicle's registrant is changed. So again, if I go to register a vehicle, it needs a New York State inspection. Even if the sticker on the windshield still has 6 months left on it before the sticker's no good, the moment I register the vehicle, or again the vehicle's sold, it should get a New York State inspection sticker. There are, again, some unique circumstances, and you find these in section 79.4 of the regulations. If a non-resident becomes a resident, so someone from outside of New York State comes to New York State and becomes a resident, the inspection of the car from the other state that they came from will be accepted until the other state's inspection sticker expires, or 1 year from the date of the New York registration. So some states, I believe, have 2-year inspection stickers, and if that person comes to your shop and they're registering the vehicle in New York State, they're allowed to use their inspection from the prior state for 1 year or until that inspection sticker expires, whichever one comes first. A New York metropolitan area vehicle that gets inspected outside of the New York metropolitan area will be allowed a temporary emissions waiver, and it's good for 10 days after the vehicle re-enters the New York metropolitan area. Again, if you look at your definitions, there's some counties around New York City that lie within the New York metropolitan area. There is the chance that someone comes to Western New York from that area and they want an inspection. We do not perform New York metropolitan area emissions inspections over here in Western New York, so we can do the rest of the inspection, and when they enter the New York metropolitan area, they can get a waiver that allows them to 10 days once they enter the New York metropolitan area to get it inspected. 79.5 talks about rejections and also inspections that have passed. So no vehicle in New York State is allowed to be operated on highways without an inspection certificate. And again, that term certificate means sticker. So a vehicle has to have a sticker on that's registered in New York State and operated on the highways in New York State. If you do a New York State inspection and it fails, the owner will be given a rejection notice explaining why the vehicle failed. So we don't just fail vehicles and then leave the customer in the dark as to why it failed. We tell them what system is wrong with their car, why it fails, so they can choose to make the necessary repairs to get the vehicle to pass New York State inspection. Customers need to realize that their inspection repair can be made anywhere. Just because you inspect a car doesn't mean that repair to get the inspection to pass has to be done in your shop. It does not. The customer can go and take their vehicle to any shop to get it repaired, or they can do the repair themselves. The customer will be notified that the vehicle can be re-inspected at any official station. So if you fail a vehicle for a New York State inspection, you reject it, that customer can go and get it re-inspected at any other official station. If a vehicle fails to pass the OBD2 portion of the emissions inspection, there is a possibility once it gets re-inspected and still fails that it might be eligible for a waiver of that. We'll get into that in section 79.26 towards the end of this course. Just want to let you know there are some waivers that are available for customers that have unique circumstances when it comes to OBD2 inspection. Same thing with the diesel emissions inspection portion. Okay, there is a cost of stickers. The certificates that official inspection stations buy from the DMV, those dealers have to buy those stickers at certain costs. So, for instance, a safety sticker costs the dealership $2. A safety emissions sticker costs the dealership $2. So that physical sticker that goes on the windshield costs the dealership money. Obviously, that cost then gets passed on to the customer, and we'll talk about that in a future module to show what is the most, the largest amount of money we can charge a customer for the different types of inspections that we perform. All right, again, if you're questioning any of this or you want to read the actual laws, they're found on pages 4 through 9 of your inspection regulations.